So Garry today in the Sandbox Discord actually said some things that were quite interesting, probably interesting enough to create a video for, so here we are. We're going to go through the stuff that Garry said, do a little discussion, and in the background, we've got some good old Sandbox clips from the good old days of the Sandbox Discord. Some of you may remember how special those days were, and now just a distant memory. Alright, so the first thing that Garry said was, and what I thought was most interesting was, if it's called Gmod 2, you'll expect Valve assets. And that's not the game we're making. And then just below that he said, no plans to mount source content, keep in mind that it's not Gmod 2. And another interesting thing that Garry said was, somebody actually asked if there is an ETA for Source 2, and Garry replied, we have a decision to make regarding Source 2 wait. Didn't understand exactly what he was trying to say there, but I assume that they have a decision to make whether or not they're going to wait for Source 2 engine to be released to them. And this means that basically Sandbox might not get ported to Source 2. That's kind of how I interpreted that. I could be wrong, but who knows. Well, we're going to hop back to source content. Garry said in chat, the reason they don't want to do this is because they don't want to give 25% to Valve to use their content, which is totally reasonable. 25% is a significant number to give up to another company when you're selling a product. And he also said, I don't want this to be a game full of other people's mismatched content. We have a studio now. We can make our own art, especially for it. And that makes total sense. Back when Garry's mod was made, it was probably just Garry and maybe a few friends in their fucking basements or whatever. And, you know, they didn't have the money or the connections to be able to create all their own content for such a game. They had to use Valve and Source Engine's content. So now with this perspective, they can actually create their own Sandbox game from the ground up, minus the engine, of course, unless they plan on creating their own engine. But they create it from the ground up, create all their own content, their own total unique vision for a Sandbox game. And if anybody has a correct vision for a Sandbox game, it's probably Garry Newman. So we should probably trust his you know, what he's got going on here. Now I know a lot of people are going to be a little bit upset to hear that the Sandbox won't natively ship with Source Engine content. I know a lot of people play for those that Source Engine content, big fans of the Half-Life universe, but don't be too worried. There's of course going to be importers created for people to eventually import all the Source Engine content. It's just not going to ship by default with the game. When asked what Garry thinks of what the art style is going to be, he says, in my mind, we need to support two styles, Rust/realistic and Tub/citizen/wise guys, that artistic style, whatever style of art the Tub guys are, whatever those are. He said no add-ons or game modes are still central, but that's long tail. We can't count on user-generated content to sell the game for us. We need to ship with shit people want to play, because without those people, there's no point in making add-ons. So basically, they're going to create a game that is super casual friendly up front, that's going to attract a lot of people, and then behind that is going to attract the developers who want to make add-ons. Because if you got a modding game, a Sandbox game with no player base, what's the point in making add-ons for it, you know? And then somebody then asked, so are you guys looking at the popular parts of Gmod, top game modes and such, and integrating them in some way? And Garry says yes. Not just a Gmod. If we want it to be popular, it has to be more than Gmod. And he is absolutely correct on that. As Elon Musk once said, if you have competitors, your product has to be significantly better. And in this case, Sandbox is, even though it's developed by the same people, Sandbox is Garry's mod competitor. It has to be significantly better in order to attract the player base. And I've got a little experience on this topic as well. I recreated Surf and Bunny Hop game modes from Source Engine. The novelty of the idea was really cool. They were like, oh cool, a standalone surf game. But because the game wasn't actually significantly better, it's really, you know, it's not better. It's not going to attract, it's not going to take away the large player base from Counter-Strike. And that's what I'm currently working on. I'm thinking up ways to make Frag Surf, which is my game. It's on Steam if you want to buy it. Self-plug there. I'm thinking up ways to make Frag Surf significantly better than Counter-Strike. That way people actually want to play it. And this is the same thing that's going on with Garry's mod and Sandbox. If Sandbox wants to succeed and have a huge player base, it needs to be significantly better. That basically covers everything that was mentioned by Garry today in chat. I thought it was interesting enough worthy of a video. If you guys enjoyed, stay tuned for future Sandbox videos. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell button. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well. Any support you guys can give, even especially just a thumbs up or a comment, helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm, helps grow my channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.